Peace, love, and light, beautiful souls. Welcome to my channel. If you're new here, my name is Mamina. Please be sure to tap the bell for all to be notified when I post brand new readings. And of course, like and comment below on this video. We're going to tap into the energies for the collective for the first week of January. So from the 1st to the 7th, this is the energy to expect. We're going to get into everything. And remember, if problems arise, there are no problems without solutions. So we also get into the solutions, my dear. Let's start off with the tarot before we move into the oracle. I'm going to be using the Mermaid Tarot, which I will have the Amazon affiliate link in the description for. Remember, it's no extra cost to you. I just simply get some coin when you purchase from that link. And I'm also going to be tapping into the Depths of the Sea by Mystic Moon Oracles. All right, let's start off with the tarot. We go by the cards that radiate heat. So we have Tower, which I pretty much expected. But don't threat, my loves, because there are no problems without solutions. We have Wheel of Fortune. We're still back here. We're in this region. And we have Six of Cups. Okay. So, I'm only going to do 3 cards for this. Bottom of the deck, we do have the Ace of Cups at the bottom of the deck. So, the Tower moment. Once again, I get a huge collective. So this is a split. On one hand, yes, some of you, there's a dramatic change that's so sudden. It can feel a little destructive, what it is. But you have to think about the perspective of what's taking place. Towers crumble because they're built on faulty foundations. It's not just as simple as, oh, something gets struck by lightning and that's it. The whole purpose of a tower moment, there has to be a sudden change, something that sends a shock through your system to say, listen, this path, this method, this technique, whatever it was you were doing, it's not working for you. And you've had signs put in front of you, be it you couldn't recognize it, be it that you may have ignored them. It's time for you to see them. We're in the age of Aquarius, and we're also, and there's different terms for the age of Aquarius, resonate what, go with what resonates for you. But we're also in the number 5 for 2021. 5 energy doesn't have time to play around. 5 energy is about that put up or shut up. Now, 5 can be a very positive number, but it can also be a conflict number. And sometimes, because 5 is the blade, 5 has a tendency of cutting through the bullshit, for lack of a better term. Okay, forgive the language, but that's what it is. So you'll have amazing opportunities that'll appear before you. And it's like you're going to have to either accept that Wheel of Fortune, which means allow for the old cycle to end, allow for the old cycle to crumble so that you can move into that fortune, so that you can move into that luck, that prosperity, whatever that may look like for you. This is a collective reading. You want to only take what resonates and leave what doesn't. But whatever that may be, it's you have to let go of what you've been clinging to. And some of us, we have such important roles and missions in our life that we're no longer just given the opportunity to stand on the sidelines. You have free will as far as what you want to do when these moments happen. Their happenings are inevitable. When they happen, which perspective will you allow yourself to see? The perspective that only thinks, oh, my world is ending, this is destructive, or the perspective that says, actually, I didn't need what that was anyway. It wasn't serving my highest purpose, that experience, that situation. For others, it's not so much that it's something destructive. It's just something that you've been procrastinating on. For some of you, this is work related. There's a lot of projects and things that people started when quarantine was going on. And then once things kind of started moving again, they really didn't keep the effort up. They sort of let things fall at the wayside. But the reality is you're about to head back into quarantine. And you could have actually been putting a lot more effort into the projects that you started, building them to the point where once quarantine took place again, you would be further advanced and you could start maybe making income, passive income from a different source. Now, that may seem very, particular, but that's what's coming in for some of you. For others, could be a decision in romance, might be someone, I'm seeing people go back and forth with somebody, back and forth. And the person you're going back and forth with, they're not for you. You know this, like, you intuitively know, you're physically in knowing, because intimacy between the two of you aren't the same anymore, but you just keep going back because, again, people tend to go back to what's familiar, even if it's not necessarily good for them. But there's a phase coming in your life that demands a different action. That 5 energy. That 5 energy says, okay, now you know the truth. You want to act like you don't see it. All right. We're going to bring you this tower moment because it's an inevitable. You're already putting yourself in a situation you don't need to be in. You're forcing it. Once this moment happens, while you still have free will to decide to keep playing the game or not, understand if you keep playing the game, you go down with the tower. If you decide to advance forward, you're stepping into the wheel of fortune. You're saying, I'm getting rid of a karmatic cycle. I'm getting rid of this thing that wasn't working for me, and I'm accepting abundance. I'm accepting that I'm moving forward. Keep in mind, this wheel of fortune, it's the steering wheel of a ship. You are in charge of that steering wheel of that ship. It is up to you to decide which direction that ship will go in. Only you can decide that. We can give you clarity and guidance, but we can't make the decisions for you. The divine can say, hey, these are the pros and cons of the decisions that you make, but at the end of the day, you still can't even blame the divine because it's all about free will. If a person decides to put up with toxic family, toxic relationships, not doing the work they're meant to do, procrastinating, etc., that is a choice. And along with that choice comes pros and cons. Sometimes a bunch of cons. And when a person decides to go, okay, I'm going to let that go and step into my prosperity, step into my good fortune, step into my luck, and all the amazing things that can come with that Wheel of Fortune card, that is also a choice. And that has its own list of pros. And some people will think cons because it may involve leaving certain people alone, could involve moving away from home, could involve taking risks that you normally wouldn't take. We're living in a time right now, my loves, where too many people are letting fear control their emotions. Too many people are letting fear get in the way. You have to decide if you're going to live on and move forward or not. And so this first week of January, we've already been in the age of Aquarius, but this first week of January for many cultures around the world, it's the first week of a new year. It's the first week of 2021. And so it's the first day of 5 for them. And these are some of the challenges and decisions that they're going to have to make. You don't have to see it as all negative because, again, it's all about your perspective. And because you're in charge of the wheel, you can choose to see this as a blessing or a curse. It's up to you. Okay? We have the 6 of Cups. Now, the interesting thing about this 6 of Cups is I'm getting unity from that card. I'm getting a sense that here you'll feel kind of like the weight of that foundation coming through. Again, for some of you, it's not so much that it feels destructive. It's just such a sudden change that it kind of overwhelms you. It throws you off a bit. And you might find that like you have to get your ground. You have to get your bearings again. For others, the reason it'll feel destructive is because you might feel like you're losing something that you either think you shouldn't have to lose, or again, it's a familiarity. You're familiar with clinging to whatever that is, and it's different for different people, so I'm not going to go into too much detail. But if this is resonating with you, you know which parts should resonate. You know which parts to take heed from and which parts fit your situation. You know what that tower is. You get it. So I'm feeling like when you make that decision to move forward, there's a sense of unity that'll come in. A soul family that'll come in that'll feel so familiar to you that you might say, I feel like I've known these people forever, even if they're new. So I feel like some of you, there's like a mentor or some type of friendship that will motivate you, or you may already be in this. For some of you, you might already be in this. It's something new, but you find yourself extremely motivated. Now, the key here, do not become just super attached. You got to learn how to have detachments, but you do want to make sure that you recognize the blessing in these people, that you recognize the connection, because I feel like that's where the tower moment feels so thrown off, is you're kind of used to being attached to certain things, like attached to your hometown and attached to a lover, attached to a friend. You don't really allow yourself to just kind of like let go, let flow, and be in a state where you love them. And if they're good for you, you understand the connection, but you're not attached to them to the extent that if you have to move on from them, whether it's a past lover or etc., because moving on means I don't have an ill will. So that means if you have to move on from this is a reading for masculines and feminines. If you have to move on from whichever your counterpartner is, energetically or physically, you can do that and not feel hostility, animosity, oh, they let me down, blah, 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 blah. Because you'll just simply understand they weren't for you. What's meant for you, you don't have to go through all this for. Like, yes, there's challenges and yes, there's things that you have to evolve in. But when it's something that seriously you're being told, it's time to go forward, it's time to really step into your fortune, that means whatever that was back there, that already wasn't for you. Now, this isn't a twin flame reading. Though there are, again, I see some lovers going back and forth. They're not twin flame lovers. So this doesn't really apply to a twin flame union in that aspect. And some of you, and this is the thing that some of y'all don't like to hear, but listen, when you're on my channel, when you come to me for a personal reading, we keep it all the way a buck around here. I don't go against the divine. I don't go against your guides or my guides. Sometimes people are in unions and they're so familiar with the person, they have so much emotional and physical attachment to the person that they like to just put the label twin flame or soulmate on it. And because you tend to hear more about from different sources, you tend to hear more about the struggles of the twin flame union. You start to kind of like look for the comparisons to keep the union going. When in reality, you're forcing something that's not meant to be forced. There's a lesson and you're not learning it. So when your true person comes in, it creates all these unnecessary conflicts. You got to learn how to properly let go of that doesn't serve you so that you can truly accept what's really meant for you. Yes, there will still be certain challenges or things that you have to deal with when you do find your partner. But that's the whole point of letting go of what could become bad baggage with the unright one, with the one who doesn't hold that title. Because at the end of the day, even your divine masculine, if they're not operating from their divinity, they're not ready. And so a tower moment can still happen to force a separation so that you have to work and reflect on your inner shadows and your inner problems. And sometimes when you're triggering each other, it's not about getting mad. It's about saying, okay, why am I triggered? Why is this person triggering me right now? What can I do to heal my part? As you heal yourself, you heal them. But it's all about free will. So you don't allow yourself to feel like you have to force them to do anything. You begin to reflect and work on self-love, self-healing. The same thing applies when you're in karmatic situations. The same thing applies when you're in just false relationships. Some of you know that you're in a false relationship. We keep it a buck around here because the point of my readings and my channel, especially these collective readings, which is still heavy work because it's not like the collective energy is rainbow and butterflies. It can be very heavy, right? It's for you to evolve, to step into your higher self, to step into your true intuition. Okay? So you have to be able to accept what the absolutes are versus illusions. Because when you let go of the illusions and you start to accept the absolutes and how unlimited you are as a being, you make it where you can love the other person better. And this also applies to other situations in life, career, family. Sometimes people may be your family by blood, but they don't act like family. And you keep forcing yourself to do things and you build resentment for them. But deep down, you're also building resentment for yourself. That can be a sudden acknowledgement that can throw your whole world around because you may have not looked at it from that perspective. Or perhaps you've been running from it. And so the divine is saying, I made you to be divine. I made you to recognize your strengths, and you're settling for something that it's not on par with what you really are. So I have no choice, unless you want to keep repeating this cycle in different lives, I have no choice but to do what I can to get you to wake up. But remember, every action you take, you're responsible for. You're responsible for every action and reaction. So sometimes, even though the divine you may feel like is, you can call it source, every time it does something that you feel is like, oh, it's against me, what actions did you take that triggered that? Because remember, you're a part of source. You're a part of the divine. You're a light body, God body being. So what did you do? What did you say? What action did you take? What did you not do? What did you not say that put you in that exact spot, in that exact predicament, even though you probably have multiple signs over and over again telling you, don't be there, don't say that, don't go here, or do that, go there, do. If you didn't listen, then you're kind of the pot calling the kettle black, right? Like when you think about it, when you put it in perspective. But you're never alone. And that's why when you start to meet certain people that are your soul family, that are your soul tribe, you can make beautiful memories with them, because whether they were with you in a past life or whether it's just the familiarity of knowing that you've always had an essence, a presence in your life that understood you. You may have not always been able to see it. You may have not always been able to identify it. But if you start looking at your life from a different perspective, the fact that you've made it thus far, wherever your situation may be, the fact that you even have an ability to come online and look at a reading like this and be inspired or be triggered to be inspired, whatever it may be, says that there is something that is always trying to protect you and something that is always present. However, you have to flow with it. It can only protect you and provide for you but so far, because you have to actively participate in that protection, in that moving forward. So this is why it's important to learn detachment versus a disconnection. Disconnection, you don't want to do that. But attachments lead to you having emotional triggers that sometimes are outside of your very being. Because now other people can push these invisible, non-existing buttons that you and those people have invented that make you either have a stagnant moment in life or a chaotic moment in life. And it builds all these lower vibrational feelings like resentment, anger, depression. Anger can be beneficial in some cases, but when you allow anger to control you and you can't leave it where it is, when you allow fear to control you and you can't leave it where it is, you've now given someone else the keys to manipulate you, because you're in a low vibration. It doesn't matter what you think in your head. It matters what your energetic field is. That becomes your reality, because your energetic field creates your authentic thought. Even if that thought, as authentic as you may think it is an absolute lie. Now that may go over your head a little bit. You may have to wait till this moment happen, or perhaps it's already happened by the time you see this. Though I'm saying it's the first week of January, these are timeless. When you see it is when you're meant to. But it's a wake-up call. So you can take the minute to kind of, if you feel overwhelmed, you can take the minute to acknowledge that and acknowledge why. And then you take the moment to say, where's the blessing and the lesson in this? Because the lesson is the blessing. So what is it that I'm supposed to learn from this moment? And deep down, you know the answer. You know it already. And now, because you've survived far worse things than whatever that was, now you can say, I'm ready to step into that fortune, which means now you'll be ready to receive and accept the people who will come in and help you and give you guidance. And those memories that you create with those people, they will contribute to the forward motion, to propelling you to a different aspect of self to expand you. Now, again, Spirit's channeling all that in very fast. Some parts may, you may have to listen to more than once. But again, I don't go against Spirit. I don't go against the divine. I don't go against your guides. I tell you what it is that you would hear them say if you could just fully open your consciousness enough to hear them, or open yourself to receive all the different types of information they bring in. The problem is some of you, all of you have your own version of psychic ability, all of you. Everyone's gifted, everyone has. The problem is when people are stepping into their spirituality, they get picky. I'm willing to accept spirituality, but only if this is true or that's true, or you nitpick sometimes. And when you do that, you are cutting your own self short. You're cutting your own blessings off. It's like when people want to debate if there's deities over aliens or if they're just the same thing. It's an unnecessary debate. Why are you limiting yourself to only believing one section when there's proof of many different sections? It's just like people who only want to see the world in black and white. But yet, even if you're colorblind, you still see the shades of gray. So why are you accepting just a two-tone existence, a 2D existence, a 3D existence, when you know that you're a multidimensional being? So sometimes the personal feeling, it affects where you choose to evolve in your spiritual journey. So all of that's changing with this current energy, because we're stepping, and this is a strong energy to pick up just within the first week for the collective. But hey, it's best to know what it is now than to get further down and get too comfortable, and then bam, a bunch of stuff just starts hitting you out of nowhere. So I also feel like there's a possibility for some of you that someone in your past, or a group that may be from your past, like some genuine friends that maybe you grew up with, went to college with, I'm hearing college for some people, could be coming back in, or you might have already crossed paths with them either via social media, or maybe you went out somewhere. Maybe those people moved back into town, or you moved to where they are. I know people feel a little weird whenever they hear the word move, but the reality is some people's life have to keep going. So they were still moving or getting things in order even in the midst of what's going on. Again, the key here is to not live in a fearful state, because when you live in a fearful state, you start to allow things that will not protect or benefit you. You start to accept certain illusions, and that's no good. Now, there's emotional fulfillment that comes in with this. Again, for some of you, it's a soul family coming in the physical that will feel like you've told them before, and you'll create certain memories with them that'll help to propel you forward. For others, it is someone from your past or groups from your past that's coming in, and you run into them in an interesting way. I'm hearing for some of you, somehow how you run into each other, it's like an interesting little story. This could have already happened, because again, whenever you see this reading, that's when it's meant to resonate, but it can bring in emotional fulfillment. Let's tap into the oracle. We have divine love. Oh, come on. We have cave, inexperience. And we have unpredictable, rain clouds. Okay, so this pretty much is confirming what I'm saying. Again, for some of you, this tower moment, it's feeling overwhelmed or just so caught off guard. You may not know how to respond right away, because you're just like, that just happened. Doesn't have to necessarily mean that it's destructive, doesn't have to necessarily mean it's completely bad, but you're meant to recognize your inexperience. You're meant to accept it. You're meant to go within and allow yourself to expand. That means learn, open your ears to listen, to receive. You cannot give if you don't know how to receive, and you cannot receive if you don't know how to give. So it's about you going within. Caves represent rebirth. Caves are literally the womb of the earth. So they represent rebirth. They represent coming out more experienced and better than you were, but also being able to accept that you can still constantly be reborn in the same existing shell that you're in. Okay, so for some of you, that's what your tower moment is. For others, it's still the same thing. You may feel like it's more destructive, not because like your whole world is ending or crashing per se, but just because whatever it is you're too attached to. Again, you must go within and allow yourself to be rebirthed into this new form of self. And yes, the future is unpredictable, but that's the joy of it. The problem here is too many of you, you're going to hear me say this a lot when readings come out this way. The problem is too many are comfortable with accepting what they believe to be their fated life and their fated existence. They're not as comfortable with stepping into their destiny, which has a lot of unknown factors. Let me clarify something for you. The fated path, even though you think you can predict it, if you pay attention to your life, it's had a ton of unpredictable moments that were also avoidable. So all you're really doing is settling. This is not the time to settle. There are things moving and shifting in this world that you're going to have no choice but to make a move upon. But that sitting still, that being inactive, that feeling trapped, all those illusions, my friend, they're breaking. 2020 was trying to get you to understand that so that you could start to open up and allow yourself to release what needed to be released. 2021, if they got to do it through a tower moment, then that's what they're going to do. So instead of thinking of rain clouds as storms are coming per se, even though, again, for some of you, the tower can feel that way, understand that it's just that unknown, that unexpected thing that you might fear because you're inexperienced. But what you don't know, you can learn. And what you have learned that's toxic or negative, you can unlearn. So it's time for you to make that decision. Will you step into your destiny? Or will you stay on this fated path that when you look back, you don't really feel like it's moving you anywhere? Your soul's calling to do something different. Okay? But like I said, you have divine love. You have the soul tribe that's coming in. And for some of you, again, this is not a twin flame reading. I may have one later today because it's Friday. But it can be for some of you. But if you keep clinging to friends, people, person, lover that's really not of that, first of all, the awakening is rude, right? The awakening to that being what it is will be very rude, and where you can't deny it anymore. But also you make it harder for the people who need to come towards you, even if it is a divine partner, to do it. Because you'll have all this smoke and mirror around you. They could be sitting right in front of your face. These people, these friends can be sitting right there, and you're just either not choosing to trust in them, or you're making up excuses to not get close because of past experiences. And for some of you, it's friends that you were close with, and some of you might feel kind of ashamed to be around them again because you're not the way you used to be the last time you saw them. And you think they're going to care about that. But if they're genuine, what they're going to care about is helping you to see past your own limits. They're not going to care about all the other ish. They don't care if you're where you said you were going to be 5-10 years ago. Real people in your corner don't get caught up on that. They'll try to help you forward, but you're going to have to show that you're willing to also help yourself. But it will be divine love at the end of the day. Are you willing to accept that divine love? Are you willing to grow and expand in that divine love? Because that's going to be the key here. We have searching at the bottom of the deck. There's always a moon and a light tower to lead you to where you need to be, right? You have to be open to receive, though. Some of you might find that you're searching for emotional fulfillments in the wrong place, but what's meant to be for you, it will come to you. I'm also these fish, it's making me think Pisces. So some of you might be Pisces. I'm feeling a lot of Pisces energy actually throughout this whole reading, which is interesting. I'm also feeling Aquarius and Libra. I will put all of the signs that I'm picking up on in the description. That could be in your chart, but like I always say, those zodiacs have an energy. So whether it's in your chart or not, the energy, it's a part of your reading, and it's a part of helping you to understand what you're dealing with and how to proceed. For example, we're in the age of Aquarius. The age of Aquarius isn't just going to only affect people in the Aquarius sign. It affects everybody. But it's the dynamics of what Aquarius is that you have to focus on. Okay, and whatever numbers I pick up on, I will also put that in the description as well, because I feel like the number 10 and the number 6 could be very important to you. And we do have a 10 and a 6 out here. Okay, and since the 10 goes down to a 1, the ace here, which is normally the 1, the new beginning, the new spark, that may also, the ones may mean something to you too. So these could be numbers that you're seeing. They could be in your birthday. They could be your life path number, and etc. Something that you may want to research. You may want to dig into. There's too many people that's channeling in here. So I'm gonna end this here. Peace, love, and light, beautiful souls. Blessings on your journey.